All right, here we are, two slightly exhausted Wednesday night podcast hosts. Welcome back into the Dirty Pocket. I am joined by my partner in crime, the scout, Daniel Kelly. How are we, my man?
Hey, we are doing well. It's training camp time in the National Football League. We have preseason football as the teams are going to be putting the ball in the tee. Many teams for the first time coming up here this over the next few days, and we're going to start this get to see things for real. And I tell you what, like we talked about in previous shows, when we were growing up, we'd be lucky to catch maybe a sentence or two about OTAs, which was called minicamp back in our era, and and also training camp. It would just be a couple lines. But right now, you can go on Twitter and you can find out, how your favorite quarterback is doing, the stats of everything that's going on. It's almost like every day is like a scrimmage at most of these training camps. But it's going to be interesting to see. The preseason's still not quite NFL football, but it's better than we've had. It's like I described to somebody, this guy I was talking to today, when we were talking about preseason football. I said it's kind of like, getting flat soda at a fast food restaurant. It's not. It kind of tastes like Coca-Cola, but it's not quite. And that's what preseason football is. But it's great to have it back. And it'll be interesting to see how some of these teams are shaping up.
Oh, my God. That's a hilarious analogy. It's flat soda. It's better than no soda, but it's kind of flat.
Hey, it's better than all the rest of these leagues and stuff we have going. That's, like watered down Mr. Pibb or something. It's
Watered down Mr. Pibb. Hey, man, I figured that you'd be ramping up for fantasy football. Are you a fantasy football guy? Have we discussed this?
I'm not.
We haven't even talked about that.
Yeah, it's something where I just honestly do not have the time for it. I mean, a lot of people like to pick my brain. They're like, I know this guy that's a former NFL scout. I'm going to find out who the sleepers are. So I get a lot of that every year. Guys trying to pick my brain, like, what do you think's going to happen? And I'm like, keep a close eye on Romeo Doubs. I've been saying that for a long time up in Green Bay. Keep a close eye on Breece Hall, the running back that reminds me of Adrian Peterson with the New York Jets. Keep a real close eye on some of these guys. So I give some stock tips, but I just don't have the time for it, honestly. I mean, I have my hands full with reality football. Just the scouting is just. I mean, it takes 6 to 8 hours to even write one article that people read in 2 to 3 minutes. There's just not enough time in the day. And my wife, Samantha, we tried it last year. She wanted to get into fantasy football a little bit, but it was just hard for her to keep up with, almost impossible for me to keep up with. And, it's a lot. How about you?
Well, I got to tell you, first of all, Samantha, if you're going to do fantasy football, you can't draft Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Zeke Elliott, Tony Pollard. That's your first mistake. I do play. I've been a champion a couple times. I know that I never take the opportunity to mention that, but yeah, I do enjoy it. It's crazy, but come on, I can analyze it to death. I've got strategies and I crunch in numbers and all this. And at the end of the day, it's luck. You got to hope somebody doesn't get hurt. Well, it is what it is.
That's what reality football is too. It's like Mike Ditka used to say, the old head coach of the Bears and Saints. He said, "I'll take the luck over the skill any day of the week." That's what it comes down to. I mean, the football is an odd shape. It takes a lot of odd bounces, and that's what we have. So, but I do have a special drink for us.
Okay, so getting back into the swing of things, we've had a couple weeks off in between episodes here, the Dirty Pocket. Let's get back to our tradition. What is your beverage of choice? Please tell me it's not Flaming Mountain Dew again.
No, I'm not doing that again.
Man.
Hold on. Let's pause for stations to identify themselves as we.
Oh boy! Oh wow! We're getting the full experience here tonight.
Full experience. Okay, so here we go. Now, I take great pride in this. I go to the store. This is a special part of my day when we go to the store. I look at the drink aisle. I try to pick something that I haven't picked before. I mean, this is a big deal to me. Okay, so tonight I have It's
What
Alani.
is that?
It's Rocket Pop. If you see that, okay. It's got a
Rocket Pop.
picture of a rocket on there. Just what you want before bed, like on the East Coast where I'm at.
Yeah,
It
sounds
says
great.
energy. Yeah, it's a rocket flavored or rocket fuel or something. So let's take a taste. I've never tasted this before in my life. So this is gonna be. I mean, this is live, uncensored, unfiltered. Let's see what it tastes like.
Oh God. Let's hope you don't pass out live on Twitch.
That tastes pretty good. It's like unleaded. That's pretty good.
Okay. Wow. I'm sure your colon and your stomach love you for it.
Absolutely.
I'm just doing iced tea, man. That's as good as it gets.
See that? Yeah, that's cool though. Okay, at least it's not clear this week. Now let's do the promo. Should we do the promo?
Oh, do the promo.
Okay.
Hit us.
Okay, here we go. Ready? Arsenio Hall style. Here we go.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Arsenio.
When the preseason's about to begin and NFL football is taking off like a rocket, reach for Alani Rocket Fuel. Available in stores everywhere.
Wow. Call us.
The National Football League.
Call us, Alani. Let's sponsor the Dirty Pocket. Let's go.
Rocket Man.
Wow. Okay. Well, you're pumped and ready to go after a week off. We've had a couple of
pump up the volume. I'm ready. I am ready. I'm coming off the edge tonight, baby.
Oh boy. Thank you, Alani. I'll tell you what. It has been a week in the NFL. It's been a couple weeks in the NFL, but we had last week. We took some downtime. There has been some things happening, and I want to welcome in MTO, who has joined us. There he is. But I believe I'm going to allow
MTO.
I'm going to allow his salty tears to kick off this week in the NFL, and let's just start there since you are an SI writer for the New York Jets. And MTO, my friend, my heart breaks for you, dude. That's really bad news. It was one of our top stories tonight, so let's kick the Dirty Pocket off with Mekhi Becton. Good God, yeah. New York Jets. Okay, go easy on the man and the New York Jet fans. Some really good articles out of you this week, by the way. I really appreciated some of the different angles on the Jets. Some really good stuff out of you this week for Sports Illustrated. Boy, MTO, man, there's nothing like losing your right tackle, huh? 2 years in a row. Good God.
Yeah, my heart goes out to you, MTO, and to the Jets Nation. I mean, this is something I've been beating on this drum for 13 articles dating back to November. If you go to SI Jets and pull up my name, Daniel Kelly, and pull up my articles, you'll see all the articles about who the Jets should have drafted and looking at a Wanku, who I really liked in the first round, who I really thought was a baller, a culture-changing type of left tackle. I talked about a lot of different guys. Petit Ferrari, the Ohio State kid I really liked. As you recall, maybe we talked about him on a mock draft show you and I did, Stacy. Yep. Looking at him, there was so many different options. Free agency, I went really hard on Orlando Brown Jr. I've talked a lot about Andre Dillard, trading for him from the Eagles. I've talked about this. I've written articles that the one thing May 17th that Joe Douglas failed to address this offseason was the offensive tackle position. Here's the problem. I talked about this in length, okay? I mean, this is I've been like Nostradamus on this thing, okay? No, really, I have, because when I looked at this situation with the offensive line, okay, you have all these things that Joe Douglas is doing, and good picks, the Garrett Wilsons and the Breece Halls and the Sauce Gardners, and there's some good pieces being put in place. But it all starts in the trenches. It starts up front. And I'm sorry, Jets Nation. I'm sorry that Joe Douglas failed you. We're not even in the first preseason game, and the whole thing was unraveling at the seams. Because here's what he didn't do, okay? he decided to roll the dice. Okay, Joe Douglas has always selected 4 out of 25, with his draft picks, 4 draft picks out of 25 offensive linemen, period, to begin with, okay? And Mekhi Becton was his legacy pick. What do I mean by that? That was his first-round draft pick after he became GM, okay? And it's been a disaster. It's been a train wreck with weight issues, injuries. The guy's played 14 out of 33 games, I think, in his career. He's come, both him and George Fant. Fant's only had one good season at tackle from Seattle, the former guy that was a tight end. He's had one good season, and so you got both of these offensive tackles coming off knee surgeries in the offseason. And I wrote in an SI article, it's like building a house with 2 pillars that are cracked using duct tape to wrap around them, right? And I said, this is not a good scenario. It's just not good, okay? And I kept talking about. He's got to address these. He's got to address this. He's got to address this. I kept sending out tweets. He's got to address this. He refused to do it. He's bet his job, okay? He's bet his job on Mekhi Becton. And of course, Mekhi Becton came into OTAs, made a mockery out of things, had his nice big bust T-shirt on, standing up there at the podium. He changed his Twitter handle to Big Bust for a while. He mocked the fan base. He mocked the organization, in my opinion. And he was out of shape. Boomer Esiason said, geez, the guy looks like he's about 400 pounds. And people say, well, give him a break. He's got a weight issue. Listen, the intel was out there, okay? The intel was out there pre-draft, okay? There was much talk about how Mekhi Becton struggled with his weight at Louisville. Joe Douglas failed to get the intel, failed to act on it, drafted this guy in the first round pick, tried to build his team around him. It has not worked. And now, unfortunately, I feel bad for the young man. But check this out, okay? There is video on my Twitter account, at Daniel Kelly Book, if you want to go check this out, okay? MTO and Jets fans. There is video on that practice day where Mekhi Becton went down, that prior to him going down in that practice, he was hobbling and limping around prior to the injury, and nobody was there to pull him out. Another failed exercise in management. He was noticeably hobbling. They kept him in the practice, and then he folded like a tent. Okay, this whole situation has been incredibly mismanaged to the point where my resume is on deck with the New York Jets, because I tell you what, Joe Douglas does not understand how to build an offensive line. And as a general manager, if you don't understand how to build an offensive line, you are not going to win anything, which is why he's won 3 games in 13 years. Everyone hails this guy to be a great GM. He is really one of the worst they've ever had.
Well, there you have it. I had a feeling I knew that one was coming because you banged that drum actually going back to the last season.
It hurts. My heart bleeds for. I mean, I love the Jets fans. My heart bleeds for the Jets nation, okay? Because it's so unfair for this organization to be teased with all these acquisitions and all these good players. And let me tell you something. Zach Wilson, he had a knee injury of his own last year, and I talked about this extensively in my articles. He was sacked 44 times, which is the 3rd most in the NFL. The Jets as a unit gave up 52 sacks, which is the first time since 2000, I think, in 7 they've given up that many sacks as a unit, which was the 4th worst in the NFL, okay? This is something that not only that, but Wilson came up hobbling a couple other times during the season too, against Houston and also against earlier in the New England game before he got hurt. Okay, and you look at the Jets' schedule. The schedule is littered with elite pass rushers they're going to face. Joe Douglas, I can't understand for the life of me, guys, how he can look at that schedule. Look at the math. How can you look at that schedule, look at who the Jets are going to face, look at Mekhi Becton, look at his weight, look at his injury history, look at all these different things, look at George Fant, look at your depth, the entire depth. And then Joe Douglas, this is what gets me the most, right? So Mekhi Becton goes down in practice, right? And Joe Douglas's response is citing some dude that was with Tampa Bay, okay, who's played for 9 teams in the NFL since 2015. I mean, a hack. he brings in, okay? He brings in a journeyman guy who's played for almost a third of the teams in the NFL. He's so bad. Listen, offensive tackle, you got to slide out with your feet. You got to use your hands. You got to protect the perimeter. Zach Wilson, whoever goes under center for the New York Jets this year, is going to get killed because Joe Douglas does not know what he's doing.
Well, I'll tell you, I knew that rant was coming. I feel for you, for MTO, and I got to agree with you. I think my problem is I thought the Jets stole the draft. If I've had to find a donut hole in their draft that kind of had me scratching my head, it was in that first round at pick 26 with Jermaine, was it Jermaine Johnson, the kid from Florida State, who I thought was not the greatest pass rusher coming off the edge.
I thought it was I had a 5th round grade on Jermaine Johnson. I totally don't like him at all.
They could have taken a tackle. This was a tackle-rich draft. I know they took the kid Mitchell like 4th or 5th round.
He's a C minus guy.
Yeah, he's a run blocker.
Yeah, he doesn't have the feet to dance on the perimeter at left tackle or at right tackle even.
So I agree with MTO. I agree with you. I don't think this is a good look for Joe Douglas. It's not a good look for Zach Wilson. I don't think it's fair to do that to a kid coming into his sophomore season who's already been injured. By the way, it really reminds me a lot of the St. Louis Rams under Mike Martz, who like to just get all these toys, all these one. You remember when he drafted Trunk Candidate and he was drafted instead of building from the inside out. And I think that Douglas hit on his skill position. Sauce Gardner's going to be an all-pro. Garrett Wilson's going to be an all-pro. Brees could end up being a steal for a second-round running back.
Well, he's another Adrian Peterson. Yeah, he is a steal.
But there's that hole at 26 where they could have went out and gotten themselves a really solid tackle.
Well, he traded up. He traded up to even move back into that point.
Right.
He didn't have to do that. He could have sat there with 2 number 2s, and he could have got a tackle right there, right at the top of the second round. He didn't have to do all that. So I don't understand it at all. It's a problem. And it's weird because Joe Douglas, here's the weirdest part about the Joe Douglas situation. Joe Douglas is a very good scout and evaluator, and he's proven this. This is the dichotomy. This is the part that doesn't add up, right? This is a guy who's brought in guys from the trash heap of, from around the NFL. Okay, he's brought in the Mike Whites. He's brought in Quincy Williams. He's brought in John Franklin Myers. He's brought in Braxton Berrios. He's brought these guys in who nobody else wanted, who are in waivers. He brought them in who have been major contributors on this team. So how can a guy that's that good at evaluating and he's in charge of an NFL team and everybody and their brother knows in the NFL that the key to victory is stopping the pass and getting to the quarterback and how important that offensive tackle position is. And then he gets, now I don't like Zach Wilson, but he does. Okay. So how does he bring a franchise quarterback in that he deems to be a franchise quarterback? I don't, but he does. How does he put that guy in that position and then not protect him? It makes no sense whatsoever. It's almost like he's setting them up to lose, almost intentionally. That's what bothers me the most about it. We're going to get really dirty here tonight in the Dirty Pocket because it almost feels intentional, because I don't understand. Can you imagine if you were to build a house and have a house built and you spend all this money on this big house, right? And all of a sudden you walk up to the front door and the guy who built your house forgets to put a doorknob on the front door. And it's just, there's no doorknob and there's no lock on the front door. And you got this beautiful palace that's worth $250 million. And you got these marble floors and the best of everything and everything state of the art. But the guy forgets to put a doorknob on your front door. That's what it's like watching what Joe Douglas has done with this offensive tackle situation. And look out, because starting on Friday night against the Eagles, okay, they got a couple guys are probably they got a couple guys are going to end up starting for that first preseason game who have about 12 starts between them. Chuma Duga and Max Mitchell, the rookie, who's going to be guarding Zach Wilson's, on the perimeter there. It's just a disaster. You're going to be looking at one Mississippi throw the ball type of thing, and it'll be quick throws. It angers me the most is I care. I want this organization to win. I don't understand how he could neglect this position and how he could bet on a player who had terrible odds when you look at it. He's missed half of his career. He's had weight issues. And on top of it, he's coming off a knee surgery. And he showed up. I mean, when he showed up at OTAs and he couldn't even participate, he was so gassed. Okay, wearing a shirt that said "Big Bust." To me, it was almost the alarm system should have gone off in Jets headquarters. But no, Joe Douglas just sits there and says, "Okay, well, what's for lunch?"
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. I've seen reports that Dwayne Brown is in motion. They're on the phone with him now. I think
He's not the answer either.
No, he's not. He's certainly not a long-term answer. But he's better than Max Mitchell or whoever that is.
Actually, it's about the same.
Mitchell, I can't remember his name. But
It's about. I gave both the same grade. They both got a C.
Okay.
I gave both the guys a C- grade. I mean, Dwayne Brown has gone like this. Okay, he's gone like this over the last. I mean, he went from giving up like 5 sacks in like 3 seasons. Last year, he gave up 7 sacks. Last year, he gave up 33 pressures. How he made the Pro Bowl was completely political. I went back and watched the game film. I wrote an article on him this week. Dwayne Brown is not the answer. He does not have the lateral foot speed. He's more stiff and rigid at this point of his career. He can't adjust. It's a disaster. The guy's 37 years old. I'm telling you, what's going to end up happening is the whole thing is going to come down crashing on Joe Douglas's head. He will get fired on Black Monday. Robert Saleh's gone. Okay. This whole thing is going to collapse.
That's too bad.
It's terrible. Yeah. All because of poor planning that I believe with all my heart is intentional. And I see this with other organizations too. I look at the Detroit Lions. Okay, you look at all the stuff Detroit's doing. They don't have a backup quarterback. We're going to get more into Lions later as a teaser, but they don't have a backup quarterback. How can you go into an NFL season without a backup quarterback? This reminds me when I worked for the Jets in 1999. We were coming off the AFC Championship loss to Denver. My job was to get the chicken wings at that point in my career and get some donuts and get Mike Tannenbaum the eggplant pizza that he wanted. Okay, but here's the thing. Okay. I stuck my nose out where it didn't belong, which in hindsight I probably shouldn't have. Okay, but I stuck my nose and I said to anybody who would listen in that building when Parcells was there, I said, listen, at 24 years old, I said, we have got to get a backup quarterback in here. I don't care who it is. We got to get somebody in here that can back up Vinny Testaverde. Nobody did it. Parcells brought a couple of his cronies in. He brought in Scott Zolak, who's probably the worst quarterback I've ever seen in my life from New England. He brought a Rick Meyer from Green Bay from his buddy Ron Wolf. And we had – and those were the 2 backups. And what happened? On opening day in 1999, Vinny Testaverde ruptured his Achilles, and the season was over because Bill Parcells, the Hall of Famer he is, and I love him, but he neglected the backup quarterback position, just like Joe Douglas is neglecting the tackle position, and the whole season was a wash. Now Joe Douglas is sitting here on the beginning of the preseason, and his offensive line is in a shambles. I don't understand it.
Well, I'll tell you what, it should be don't let your kids watch the 2 matchups with the Buffalo Bills. That's going to be really ugly if they don't get this figured out. I think that, MTO brings up a good point that Joe Douglas is probably married to him as his first pick. He doesn't want to admit that was a failure or a bust. And then I too agree the Eagles are going to come after Zach Wilson. There's going to be absolute no shame in this game. And I don't think I'd play Zach Wilson. I think I'd I think you put your guy Mike White in and pray. It's really a problem, and it's a bummer. I want to say it's a bummer because I think Saleh's a stud coach. I really do on the defensive side of the ball. And I
don't at all.
You don't? Okay. I do. He did have the benefit of those 49ers rosters, which were loaded.
Nick Bosa.
Yeah, Bosa, and he had, the other guys, Eric Armstead and DeForest Buckner. I mean, he had some good stuff going on. Fred Warner, give me a break. But I'll tell you what, this is going to be really interesting to watch. And I want to make sure that we move into some other big stories here. But the Jets, just when I thought that they were building something special, you can't win without offensive linemen, man. It's just the name of the game. So you called it. I want to call it out and say kudos to you. What a disaster, Mekhi Becton. I will say this. I'm curious what MTO thinks of this too. I was somewhat impressed with Robert Saleh's comments about Mekhi Becton, like he's a good kid. This isn't over for him. We're going to come. I thought that was kind of unusual, and I was somewhat impressed by it. I know it's coach speak and whatnot, but it was a little – I felt like it was a little bit more, and Becton shot back thanking him for the support. So we'll see. I tell you what, bad knees, and he comes in so grossly overweight. It's just, we know what happens. It's a bad deal. I will tell you, yeah, I agree with you. I do agree with you. Salah is a player's coach. He's not much older than any of them. You know. Okay, guys. MTO, yeah. Sorry about the Jets.
Yeah, I am too.
Hold tight. Listen,
I'm not happy about it at all.
I just want to bring something up to you guys. It's long overdue. As a fan of the world champion Los Angeles Rams, I've seen this before. Don't forget when Trent Green went down. Everybody thought the Rams season was over. And some guy named Kurt Warner came in and did some really special things. So, MTO, there's a thought for you as a Jets fan. You lost a young tackle, but don't give up. I really like the pieces. Oh, my God, Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson, Carter, Brees. They're putting some stuff together there. Get some. Is Orlando pace available? If he is, I'm plugging him in where Andrew Whitworth just left. Great call. God, pace was so good.
I'll tell you what. Orlando pace today is better than most of those guys on the Jets roster backing up those tackles. I'm telling you, those guys.
No, it's going to be ugly.
Most of those guys are journeymen who have been on 3, 4, 9 teams. I mean, Joe Douglas, I wrote an article about this as Joe Douglas built a shaky offensive line a few weeks ago. And I tell you what, it's and I agree with you, MTO. And Michael LaFleur will be the head coach. And I agree with
another thing I like.
I think that I wrote an article about him that he's on my short list as a GM candidate myself to bring as a head coach. I think I like how he's very, very radical in his play calling. He's starting to kind of indoctrinate a little bit of rugby style football to his play calling with multiple touches on plays and stuff. I really like LaFleur. And the odd thing about his MTO is, you probably picked up on this too, is that the Jets, the Jets have never taken on Robert Saleh's personality. They're not known as a defensive team at all.
No,
they're known as an offensive team. LaFleur has more of an identity on that Jets team than Robert Saleh does. Let's face it, guys. Robert Saleh had the number 32 out of 32 ranked defenses last year. That defense couldn't stop couldn't stop a runny nose with a Kleenex. You know, it's bad. It was bad last year.
His DBs were awful, and I think Sauce is really going to be good.
Yeah, he is going to be really good.
Yeah.
But you know what the problem is? If a quarterback has, in the pass rush is going to be another issue with the Jets. But if a quarterback has 6 Mississippis to stand back there, I don't care if you have 8 Deion Sanders back there. It's going to be a problem.
Yeah, got to have a pass rush. Yeah, got to have a pass rush.
Get to the quarterback, which I think Michael Clemens is going to be the best Jets defensive lineman on the roster. I like him. I like the kid out of Texas A&M.
It's a great thought by both of you guys. LaFleur, and again, I'm going to call it Super Bowl champion Sean McVay. He comes from that tree. And when you start looking at the pieces he's putting together at the wideout position, then they draft the tight end this year. And then these pieces he's got in the backfield, that 2-headed monster at running back now, it's very interesting. You can see that LaFleur will bring that Rams/Packers, his brother, type offense there. But guys, this reminds me a lot of those St. Louis Rams teams with Mike Martz. You got all these great skill position young guys, and you neglected the line. So I want to point something out to both you guys as the Jets SI writer and a diehard Jets fan. Just take a look at the Cincinnati Bengals this last year. Where were they great? And where were they awful? They're loaded at the skill position. T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon. The tight end's really good. Joe Burrow. But when it got down to brass tacks, that offensive line caved. So the Bengals were able to get far on it. I think the Jets are putting something together. I really believe that. I really believe that AFC East is going to be interesting in the next couple of years, not this year. Okay, so we got to move along. We just took 20 minutes on all Jets talk.
You got me going
with the Jets fans. Well, It's a huge story. It's a huge story. And New York, it's the biggest media market, arguably in this country for sure, but in the world. Okay, let's move along to the other big news. Two other big things I want to cover this week, and it looks like MTO. It's almost like MTO can read our minds at times.
That's wild.
This is very interesting. His chats here. So we got word just a couple hours before this dirty pocket that Deshaun Watson is going to start against the Jacksonville Jaguars. No suspension has been handed down. I see we have a jersey on that might be number 4 from Cleveland.
It is.
Deshaun Watson, I know that you are a big fan. This is a pretty wild story. I'm going to throw – I don't really like politics or the crap headlines. I really love the game, but this is big. Do you think that there's a chance that this third-party guy who's, what was it, Henry Walker, his name's escaping me at the moment, that Goodell has set up to be the mediator in this thing and take a look at this 6-game suspension? Does he pull the trigger before Saturday and suspend Watson for the year?
No.
You don't think, you still standing by that? You don't think so?
I don't think so at all. I don't think so. This is a very dicey, complex situation. And, it really felt like the commissioner, Roger Goodell, this felt very personal, the way he addressed it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the NFLPA is going to have a thing or two to say on this one. And, I don't know if Watson's camp, how they're going to respond. There's a lot of, rumors flying around how they might respond, or they might try to get an injunction or sue, or, whatever they're going to try to do in response. But, I don't know. It's Mr. Haslam came out and said, we're just trusting, the process and honoring the policies and all that good stuff. When you talk to him, and I think he's going to end up playing. He's had a great time in Cleveland so far, and I just there's more to this going on. I just don't know I can't put my finger on it.
Well, it's like look, we talk off the air all the time. I'm very candid. I don't want to be the TMZ of football. I just hate that stuff. Let's talk about the game. But this is big because it's going to impact an iconic franchise one way or the other in the Cleveland Browns. And I want to go on record. I think that this is going to be a wholesale disaster. I'm with MTO. The protests and the distraction. And Scout, you've been around the game forever. You were in an NFL franchise. What Super Bowl champion wins with this kind of black cloud, hanging over its head? It's ugly. And I don't know, I don't want to get into politics and the law. I think there's so much crookedness and so much nastiness in this country right now, as we've seen the last 48 hours, that certainly the NFL is not above it either. They're just not. I thought Goodell took a pretty harsh stand in his interview yesterday, calling him a predator. I think this is going to be ugly for the Browns and Browns fans. I'm kind of with MTO, the protesting and the women's groups, and this is, I saw the autographs with the kids too. That was, I'm not going to lie. I know Scout disagrees on this, but I don't like it.
Convicted of nothing.
Hasn't been.
Either we live in. What kind of America do we live in? I know I talked about this in a previous show, but if all it takes is allegations now to hang someone out to dry. We don't have due process anymore. We don't. He wasn't convicted of anything. Somebody made a great point today that Ben Roethlisberger, he had six game suspension. There was eyewitnesses involved. They downplayed the 4-game suspension. This guy has a big following. I forget who it was, but he had like 28,000 followers on Twitter. He was a national media guy. He said, this feels very personal to me. It does to me too. And, now they're going for another year. He already missed last year, so it's not like time served even. He already missed last year. Now they're talking about now and another year. And it's just, here's the thing. Okay. If we're going to let's turn up the volume a little bit. We're in the dirty pocket. We're coming off the edge. We're screaming.
We're going to get back to football in a few seconds, but
we're screaming off the edge. Okay. If we're going to throw stones in a glass house, okay, let these 650,000 emails that are sealed. Let's release those.
Hell yeah.
Let's release. Let's not play.
Yeah.
Let's not play Deshaun Watson. Let's not pin the tail on Deshaun Watson. Okay. Let's not get into, because I've been in the NFL and I know from experience that the kind of stuff Deshaun Watson, I mean, people don't want to see what's behind door number 3. Okay. People don't want to see what's behind door number 3.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
They don't want to see. Go to Indianapolis, go to the combine, and hang out for a week and see what you see going on around.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, this is not, and not only that, but there's, yeah, it's just the thing that bothers me the most is that even outside Deshaun Watson, is that if this is going to be a president, okay, if all it takes now is allegations and no longer due process, every single citizen in the United States of America is in serious trouble, because all it takes is a group of people that, well, I don't, you know, people on Twitter hate me. People just all get together and say, "Oh, Daniel Kelly, blah, 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 blah." You know, and
who cares about Twitter? It's a sewer land.
But you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Due process. That's what the country's set up under. And I just don't. Well, I can't get into consequences with no conviction. I can't get into it.
And I totally understand, and I don't want to go down that road. You and I talk about this all the time offline, but you know, look, it's dirty, it's ugly. The NFL is dirty and ugly. I don't care what anyone says. They're making money hand over fist. I do disagree on Deshaun Watson. I think a judge, a third party, looked at it and said it was egregious and it was bad. Convicted in a court of law or not, there's all kinds of legalities I don't understand or want to get into. Something happened. It wasn't good. But boy, is it going to be tough for the Cleveland Browns this year. It just as a football team. And they've got a good roster. And it's really a bummer, because I think that this little black cloud is going to hang over them. So switching gears in the interest of time, love to hear if MTO has a thought on this as well. What do we make of the situation in Miami? And am I the only person who can't believe that Mr. Tom Brady, once again, to your point a few seconds ago, don't look behind door number 3, just kind of slinked off to the side of the stage over here after being involved in tampering? This is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And the Dolphins, it's another one. I almost feel like they have a better shot because their coach, I think he'll get that. This McDaniels is great. Yeah.
He's the most fascinating coach to me.
He's very interesting.
In the National Football League right now.
Yeah. Interesting thoughts, MTO. But before we move into more fun subjects, listen, everybody knows that I think Tom Brady is a good football player. I do not think he's the GOAT. I think he's the LOAT in many cases. Nonetheless, here we go again. Kind of like the Deshaun Watson thing. We saw them do this to Ray Rice, and apparently no one learned. We're seeing that happen. We saw it with Michael Vick, and now we're seeing it again with Deshaun Watson. But somehow Tom Brady, he just goes back to the yacht in Florida, and nobody even interviews it. You notice he's not taking a lot of interviews since that whole thing went down with Ross and the lost draft picks, even though it involved him and Sean Payton. Is that fascinating or what?
Yeah. It's the whole thing is very interesting. You know,
it's unbelievable. So it kind of supports what you were saying, Scout. That behind door number 3, one guy gets the guillotine, the other guy gets don't look over here. It's ugly. It's ugly.
And Zach Wilson is hailed as a national hero. I mean, that just speaks to what we're talking about here. And other people have done other things too. And some people, that's the problem I have with it is the unfair standard that Deshaun Watson being held to in comparison to everybody else. I mean, it's like a strike zone. If you're going to call it a strike every time. You can't have it up here one time and down here the next and over here and over there. It just doesn't work. And there's a lot of politics going on, a lot of things involved here, and
So getting back to the football field on that note, a great point, MTO. This is kind of a do or die year for Tua Tagovailoa. And now he's got this hanging over his head.
Well,
what do we still expect to see good things happening down there in Miami? I mean, they're loaded at running back. They've got a great running back room. The wide receivers, Waddle, Tyreek Hill, but Tua and they got Gesicki at tight end. They have the parts, but now you got this kind of, wow, they wanted Tom Brady. He was going to own the team and play quarterback. Like what? Ugh.
Well,
man.
Yeah. I mean, I've tried to make some plays before when, I've wanted to make a player, a dual role GM, starting quarterback type of, I was the first person to actually come out with that scenario. They have the first dual role type of guy. Now this Miami thing is the first time I've ever heard about a player being elevated into a partial ownership situation / player. But, that's, these teams, let's put it this way. Okay. The way the NFL is set up, okay, as far as free agency, okay, people say, free agency, we go out and get anybody we want. No, that's not how it works, okay? It's because these teams that are not winning have a very hard time attracting talent into their organizations. That's why a lot of times you see the teams like the Jets and the Lions, they all get damaged goods. They got to overspend for them, Washington, whatever. That's what happens. So these other teams are trying to, I mean, I applaud what Jimmy Haslam has done in Cleveland to go out and get a Deshaun Watson, because there's no possible way would the Cleveland Browns ever be able to get a guy of that caliber of talent as far as a football player is concerned, just by through free agency. The same way the Dolphins could never get a guy like, Tom Brady. I mean, so I understand these owners are trying to find a way to win. I applaud that, because in the day and age of revenue sharing, the reality is win or lose, every team gets 132, it's 30 seconds of the pie. Nobody has to win. So these owners who are trying to win, I do applaud that. But Miami, to answer your question, Stacey, Miami remains to be my AFC Super Bowl team.
Yeah, you called it. Yeah, you met a few weeks back on this show. I love that you're standing by that. I do want to say just a couple of things before we move into something a lot more fun and positive. But a couple of kind of into this conversation, I hope that Baker Mayfield beats the brakes off the Browns. Yeah, he has his case of Alani, and he beats the brakes off them in that first game. I'm really rooting for Baker. Second, good point earlier. I just want to validate it in that, isn't it fascinating to watch what's going on with Deshaun Watson when this guy named Robert Kraft did the exact same thing? the morning of the AFC playoff game, he was doing it. And boy, we don't hear about that anymore, do we? It's downright incredible. Incredible.
Here's the thing I know about the NFL is the only people that get caught are the people that they want to have them get caught.
Yeah. There's too many women came forward on Deshaun for them to ignore that. It was too public. But anyway, yucky subject. But on the football field, I think it's going to be very interesting to watch the Browns. If they can overcome this, including Deshaun, if he ends up playing and he overcomes this and has a great year, that's going to really be something. That's going to be more than athletic ability, because this is going to be a dark cloud.
Well, I can, the thing about Deshaun Watson, he is the most dynamic football player in the National Football League. This guy is like Michael Jordan in cleats. So that's the reason why the Browns wouldn't do this for just anybody. Okay. And this guy is a mega superstar player. This is a guy that led the NFL in passing in 2020, his last season he played. This is a guy that he can run around. I mean, this guy's incredible. I mean, what he can do as far as being a quarterback on game film, he's incredible.
I don't doubt that, but it's been almost 2 years. And by the way, I'm with MTO. There's no way in HE double hockey sticks I'm taking Deshaun Watson over Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, any day of the week.
No chance. Zero chance.
Any day of the week. Aaron Rodgers, he's high as a kite on this crap that he's smoking, whatever he's taking now.
Ayahuasca, man. He's won 2 MVPs while drinking ayahuasca. He is
the most selfish football player I've ever seen in 40 years. And to me, he'll never win another Super Bowl. He's selfish. He's self-centered. All he cares about is Aaron. And it'll be interesting to see what happens. So I disagree about that point. I'll take Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson can run circles around Aaron Rodgers as far as winning football games.
All right. We'll see, folks. Some bold commentary tonight in the Dirty Pocket. I love it. That's what this show's all about. I love it. Okay. I want to close out on a really fun subject. At least it was fun for me. Curious what you guys have to say about this. I just don't know after watching Hard Knocks last night how you can't root for the Detroit Lions. I just don't know. You've covered them for a long time. I love Dan Campbell. I'm not going to say he's the sharpest X's and O's guys and scheme maker in the history of the NFL. But when you look at his coaching staff and you look at those players and what he's getting them to do, did anybody watch Hard Knocks last night? Let me ask that. No chance. The scout says no. The scout says no. MTO. Any chance you watched Hard Knocks? Oh my God. Oh, MTO comes in with the I didn't. So okay. Here I thought we'd have a lively discussion. I did watch the first episode. It's just really fun watching Dan Campbell be Dan Campbell. He doesn't make any pretense. He's scout. You should love him. He's just like you. This is who I am. And he's out there doing up downs with the team. They're cussing each other out. Aaron Glenn and Deuce Staley are talking trash and getting into fights. It was just hilarious. And if you guys missed it, Aiden Hutchinson, the number 2 pick in the draft, actually, yeah. Oh, he looks good. He on camera in front of the whole team sang Billie Jean by Michael Jackson last night. And it was funny as hell. Oh, and yes, MTO, Jamal Williams, I would have to say, is stealing the show. He is stealing the show. He breaks a huddle last night and breaks down in tears. He's so fired up. And I guess that's what makes this Detroit Lion team look. They're not. Do I think they're going to win the Super Bowl? No. I do think it'll come down to Matt Stafford and Aaron Rodgers. You heard it here first in the NFC. But this Lions team, and again, sorry, MTO, comparing them against what the New York Jets are doing, the Lions are doing it right. They're doing it right. I know the scout was not big on Penei Sewell. I'm trying to remember the other, Taylor Decker, the other tackle. That offensive, the center is a Pro Bowler whose name escapes me.
Frank Ragnow.
Thank you. Look at that. No one in his ear, folks. No one in his ear.
Right here.
That's Alani. That's Alani.
I got the truck right outside. Maybe it's the FBI. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I know the scout and MTO agrees with you. I think Goff looks different. He acts different even than he did when he was with the Rams. It's almost eerie. I'd love you guys to watch that and tell me what you think. I think the Detroit Lions, they're going to be my little team to root for. They were last year because of Goff, but I don't know. I really like what Dan Campbell's trying to do down there in Detroit. And I'd love to hear what other people have to say about it. I think it was pretty popular, last night's episode. Oh boy, look at it. You really know how to fuel the fire, don't you, MTO? Do I even dare put this on the screen? Damn it. Okay. God.
Yes.
Jesus.
I mocked Malik Willis to Detroit, first round, top 5. I love Malik Willis.
Yeah.
He was my QB1, and you're right, MTO. He lightened it up in Tennessee. He's going to start down there. He's the feature of that franchise in Tennessee. And Detroit is like watching paint dry offensively. And
not
Malik
this year.
Willis, yes. Yeah.
No, they got the pieces, dude.
No. Jameson Williams, we don't know when he's going to play. They have the same offense this year. Every single person that's going to be starting this year is the exact same starting lineup they had last year, which produced next to nothing. Okay, and the offense and the defense, the linebackers are horrible. Yeah, Jameson Williams.
The defense. I love Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn will be a head coach.
Aaron Glenn is a very good coordinator, but he's best with defensive backs.
Yes,
that pass rush can't get to the quarterback. The linebackers can't stop runners. It's a real problem. They consistently have one of the bottom third defensive backfields in the NFL. It's a real problem. Their safeties are very bad. Okay.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
Right. So you got that issue. So That's
They
what
got Alex Anzalone, man. They got Alex Anzalone.
Oh, one of the worst linebackers I've seen in 40 years. He's awful. He gets thrown around like a rag doll. The guy's like he's like a stuffed animal at linebacker.
I almost feel like MTO came like after chewing glass or something tonight. This is like handing the scout another case of Alani. Do I even? Oh, there it is. There it is.
Oh, he's awful.
I just why am I participating?
Walker.
Why am I participating in this?
Reluctant and so tentative. Oh, he's just those two words are the kiss of death in the NFL for a safety. Reluctant, tentative. All he cared about is his big payday. Oh, get him out of here.
Oh my God, brutal.
Tracy Walker is awful. You're right, MTO.
Just brutal.
And the guy that Will Harris is even worse. It's those guys are.
They're gonna struggle there, and it's really interesting. MTO Hawkinson is great, looks great in the first episode too.
Well, he's been their best.
And Josh Reynolds. Don't sleep on Josh Reynolds. Him and Goff do have a chemistry, and he's a longer, lankier receiver. They did connect quite a bit when they were in Los Angeles, but they've got some pieces. They don't, but they got a really good offensive line. They have nice skill position players, and their running backs, DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams, they make you work. So I do agree. The trouble seems to be on the defensive side of the ball. There's not much over there to get excited about. Jeff Okudah, this is probably a make or break season for him as well out there at the corner position.
Malik Willis would have been he'd been incredible. Everybody would have had a Willis.
He's just been hurt.
He's electric. He would have lit that place. It would have exploded. That would have been the most dynamic football player they had since Barry Sanders. But no. They're going to go with Goff again, whose confidence is like this all the time. And it's that's why they haven't won. They haven't been to an NFC Championship game since I was a senior in high school.
Yep. But I'll tell you what, as a dark horse, watch Hard Knocks. Got HBO. You should be paying us here on the Dirty Pocket. But I'll tell you what, it was really entertaining, and the coaching staff and even the players, the vibe in Detroit is much different than I've seen it in 10, 12 years. Much different. I mean, that place is just where players go to die. I mean, you got Calvin Johnson, Barry Sanders, and Matt Stafford, and you can't win. I mean, there's something wrong with your organization. But I'll tell you what, Dan Campbell's doing something. I'm rooting for that guy. You bring up a good point, MTO. They're going to have some draft picks. They still got that haul they got for the Matt Stafford trade to the world champion Los Angeles Rams. But I don't think
Matt Stafford, doesn't he have some problem with his elbow or something I read about?
We could talk about that in closing if you like. I'm not concerned. He has been slinging. I watched practice today via the internet, slinging it all over the yard. Got to be smart about it. He's not going to play in the preseason. We do have a couple of decent athletic guys as backups, but I think Stafford is even more in tune with the offense now. Joe Flacco. You and MTO must have sent each other some Alanis and went to town tonight. I hear Joe Flacco's actually playing quite well in New York. I heard that he's really been doing well.
That's Joe Douglas's boy.
Yeah, well, there you go. Okay, well, gosh, we're closing up on an hour here in the Dirty Pocket. Any closing shots from you, Scout?
There's just a lot of them. I mean, it's
big.
I tell you what, I'm gonna have a closing shot. We're gonna go out to the Bay Area. I didn't say Trey area. I said Bay Area.
Oh no.
Yeah, absolutely. And
we only got 2 minutes.
Okay. We are starting Friday night, or for this weekend when the 49ers start their preseason, will be the beginning of watching the worst mistake the San Francisco 49ers have ever made in the history of their franchise. Okay. When they put Trey Lance under center, Mr. 50% in training camp. Okay. Of course, Brock Purdy and Nate Sudfeld can play a lot better than 50% against that big time defense out there in San Francisco, but Trey Lance can't do it. Okay. Trey Lance has so many deficiencies. They're going to get their heads handed to them. And mark this recording, okay? Because I'm going to tell everybody right now, turn up the volumes, okay? If they make the mistake of getting rid of Jimmy Garoppolo and they go with Trey Lance this season, Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch will both be fired on Black Monday. Mark my words.
Okay. There's his parting shot. It was strong. It was to the point. It didn't ramble on. He just He's making a bold prediction. As a Los Angeles Rams fan, home of the world champions, I couldn't care less what happens over there, as long as we beat them twice. So good on you. My parting shot is this. I think that there's going to be some interesting football this year. I like the Lions to make a move. I really think that the Colts could be interesting with a little stability with Matt Ryan and that defense, and another good offensive line, another good running back in Jonathan Taylor. I think this is going to be a year where we see 2 or 3 teams kind of pop their head up and do a little something. And I want to throw in a third on this episode, and I think the scout will be shocked, possibly MTO. I do agree with you, MTO, on that one. That is certainly going to be happening. But I'm going to pick another dark horse that I think might shock some people. I think that the Washington Commanders are going to make a little bit of noise. I think they're going to make a little bit of noise. They've been having big problems. They just fired their defensive line coach, which was really weird, and plugged in Jeff Scanina. Also, I don't know if you remember, he was on the 1999 world champion St. Louis Rams at nose guard. But I just feel that Carson Wentz may have found his home. And I know the scout is big on Heineke. I just want to say as a parting shot, those are my 3 teams to watch. The Lions are going to improve. The Colts are going to be interesting. And I think that the Commanders may surprise a few people in the NFC East. I just got this gut feeling that defense, gets a hit of smelling salts and wakes up. And God, I really like some of their skill position players. I think Carson Wentz might find, kind of a la Jim Plunkett. Career was going sideways, and then he found a home in the nation's capital. That's my parting shot.
Are you sure that gut feeling isn't like an upset stomach?
It might be gas. So as soon as we turn off, I'll rip a fart, and that'll be the end of that. And you'll drink another Alani or whatever it is.
Absolutely. Chicago and the Giants are my 2 dark horse teams from the NFC.
Okay, interesting. I think both of those are going to fail miserably. But that's my take. I'm worried about Justin Fields up there. Oh, man.
Well, I'm not. He's my QB1.
No, I like him. I'm worried about what they're putting around him. Dang, man. Okay, folks. Well, that's it for the Dirty Pocket. It's been a solid week back after a couple donut holes every other week here as we traverse the summer. MTO, man, so good to see you. Didn't expect to see the resident Jets fan pop in out of nowhere.
Yes, it's awesome to have you on the show.
Sending out all sorts of man hugs on the Mekhi Becton thing. That just sucks. I would much rather see the best players on the field, and I didn't put them on my party shots. I think the Jets are going to surprise some people if they can block anybody. There's my big caveat. So we'll see what happens. I do think Sauce Gardner is defensive rookie of the year.
I agree.
I'm throwing that out there. He's my D-Roy. I agree on the Pats. They are going down. Mac Jones is reportedly struggling in the new offense without Josh McDaniel.
Don't worry about Mac Jones. He got the second best ball placement in the NFL. That guy puts it right there in the hands, and the guys run through it. He'll be okay.
My parting shot is I am super glad. I already had one, but I'm throwing in one more as we close. I'm really glad Mac Jones was not drafted by the San Francisco 49ers, because in that offense with his skill set, Kyle Shanahan, ouchie, because the NFC West belongs to the world champion Los Angeles Rams. Okay, guys. Thanks for another great week on the Dirty Pocket. Like, subscribe, follow us on Twitch, follow us on Twitter, follow the Scout at whatever it takes. And SI New York Jets, MTO, keep the faith, buddy. You got a ball game this weekend. Yes. All right. Okay, guys. All right, folks. We will see you next week here on the Dirty Pocket. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us. Enjoy the preseason.